Okay, who's ready for another quick look? I warned you they were coming. You know they're more like quickish though. I mean, because I can be verbose. Will it be 10 minutes? Will it be 7 minutes? It's always a surprise as I write these. Now this time for watch the Vaer D4 Solar Dive Watch. Solar Diver. Yeah, it's a callback to the Penguin video. No one cares. Anyway, the channel news is the Hamilton Khaki review tanked so hard, even by channel standards, so why not another watch film? It saw the Serge video, the Vario video, and said, "Oh, my mimosa." There's like 10 of the crushed mimosa glasses on the ground. Now, the background is Knife Bros on YouTube are all struggling for their views right now, so I said to myself, why not make other channels feel a little bit better about where they're at? So Vare is based in California, like myself. I mean, I don't assemble watches also. That Vare does that. They assemble a lot of their watches here from international components. Of course, that's how supply chains work. A lot of things that are made here use parts from all over the world. Even knife companies, who make things here. I thought that most people understood that, but some recent posts on my Instagram feed shows individuals, in fact, do not understand that. Either that or they know it, but they would rather not admit it because they like making everyone miserable. But I digress. Today we're here for the Vaer D4 Dive Watch, Solar Dive Watch, which includes 3 trims, the Arctic for the polar bears, the Atlantic, which may evoke beautiful seascapes seen at places like Daytona Beach, and the Meridian with its blue and gold colorways, reminding me of my high school football team, the Mountain Home Bombers, which were the worst. I mean, they call it gold, but it was more like blue and yellow anyway, so. Would it surprise you I'm not a football fan? And then there's also the DS4, a similar budget version of this compact diver, which differs in a few ways by being assembled overseas, has a flat crystal, and it's a little tamer on the looks. But the D4 Meridian is why we're here today. It's compact, kind of a hamburger like divers can be, and it has a similar case print on the wrist to the latest generation of the Seiko 5. Okay, first let's get our strap on. There are multiple options for the Meridian: nylons, rubbers, and leathers. Sounds like we're going in a new channel direction, everyone. Now, I'm not much of a bracelet guy, and I prefer a nice strap. I think I favor the leather straps the most, and NATOs are always a little too chunky for me. And with all this in mind, I chose the rubber, then a quick release nylon strap, and then a blue leather to represent my favorite losers. Okay, they weren't my favorite. I never watched a game. I know, it was my fault. I should have supported them. Now, what's great about all these straps that come with it is you don't have to screw with the tool. There's no scratch cases or ricocheting spring bars. You get your gross little fingernail to slide the quick release and change out the strap in a few seconds. Now, for straps, for most of the day comfort, the rubber wins. Rubber is a bit boring, but it's functional. It's good for a dive watch, if you're out there surfing. I'm not a surfer. And about the only way I'm going to test the water resistance is if I drop my phone in the toilet while I'm peeing. However, the leather is the one I wear the most. It's lined Horween leather, a very dark blue. Makes me feel a little like a fancy lad when I'm wearing it. I don't think this is going to be a quick look. And then the quick release khaki also looked great, but seemed a little, felt a little scratchier in places. Now let's look at the case. You got your 316 stainless. It's not a steel you come across in knives very often. Okay, you know what? Maybe that's not true. There's at least one Amazon knife that uses it, so there's probably 100 more. I feel like this company's hit me up via email once. And as you know, watchmakers choose 316L because it's pretty corrosion resistant, and I think that's all I have to say about it. Now we have some contrasting polished and brushed places that you can see from the side here. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's kind of fancy. And then the case back has a pretty nice etching. It's a diver, so we have some waves here, I guess. It's pretty cool. Now, flipping it back around here, the dial is pretty classy. With its navy blue, you have some gilt indices accents around the outside of the loom, so it's readable indoors and out. There's a nice depth to the blue dial. It shimmers a little, maybe due to the solar cell beneath it, or maybe it's because I've been drinking a little. And covering all of that is an ever so slightly double-domed sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating. Now, sapphire is nice as it is more resistant to scratches than acrylic, in theory, although I've found that I don't tend to scratch the crystals much on mine. Maybe I'm getting a little bit better about swinging my arms. A little self-improvement there, I guess. Now, rimming the crystal, you have your 120 click unidirectional bezel. I know all of my divers do this click thing, and I'm still not sure what it's for, so please don't anyone ever tell me, okay? Now, as far as timekeeping abilities go, I have found it's almost as accurate as my iPhone, as it should be since it's a quartz. It was barely off by a second over 2 weeks, so I consider that a win, you know, compared to the mechanicals I have. And since this is a solar, the way these work is it needs 6 hours of full sunlight for a 6-month charge. Now, you're going to get that. You don't even need full sunlight. You can get your desk charging if you have a light there, you know, or you walk outside. It has not needed a charge since I've had it. I've only had it like a month now, so I get it in the sun enough. But this is very easy for me, though, because of my daily solar viewing where I stand and stare directly into the sun for about 3 hours. It's important to get my vitamin D, and it's part of my caveman diet. It's mostly raw beef feedings. I'm a very healthy individual. Now, I've hung out with a few coyotes, and when I ate with them, the natural enzymes from the roadkill, you know, they strengthen the gut. So, you know, I don't get food poisoning much anymore. Sometime I'll do a talk about it. Now, the movement here is an Epson VS22, which is awesome, as I have an Epson inkwell printer that works well most of the time. If you want some loom, though, we need to talk about the loom, and the loom on the Vare is, you know, it's pretty average. Here's a 10-minute time lapse where I compare some of my other divers, including my favorite diver, the Loom King Serge Model 2. Now for this, I charge it with one of my flashlights. You may remember the Noctagon Meteor, that old 6,000 lumen flashlight. That video carried the channel in its early days and gave me a false sense of hope on what was possible on YouTube. I've been chasing those views ever since on what was kind of a shitty video now that we all look back at it.
I haven't seen much of an improvement, honestly.
The D4 loom does start out a bit stronger than the others, but near the end it sits where a standard Seiko 5 does, meaning with completely night-adjusted eyes in a very dark area, you can still make out the time throughout the night. Just, you gotta have really good eyes, though. The Serge wins this contest, of course. The Vare is noted as 15 layers C1 Super Luminova hands and numerals if you'd like to spend an evening reading on loom, you know, like one does for fun. Now, the user interface. It's a flashlight that never gets old. Although this is only the 4th watch video. Now here the crown is a screw down type. Now sure, screw down crowns in theory help keep more water out and give YouTubers who haven't been outdoors in days something extra to complain about. And this one here is no different. But the way they work is you got to unscrew them to set the time. And to set the time, you screw counterclockwise till the crown pops, you know, a few little turns there. And then click it out further once it releases so you can set your time when the second hand stops. And of course, you set your time, you know, doesn't have to be the right time. You pick a time, any time will work. In fact, I've left the house and I've had a watch on my wrist all day and realized near the end of the day that the time wasn't correct, which should tell you something about how I think of watches. So second hand stopped, and now you press, hold, and screw clockwise to, get it back to normal. And we're at comparisons. Now, if you're looking at this shot and you're a seasoned viewer, you might know you're looking at a fine 7-incher here. You know, my wrist, I don't mind saying, despite looking kind of fragile, is one of the finer wrists in the EDC community. Each hair kind of does its own thing. I recently purchased an Apple Model 7 watch that I bought the official Apple leather strap for, and I got a silicone case, and now it looks like Ninja Turtles. Now, this is by far the most comfortable watch I own. The case back is smooth, and it always tells me I don't get enough sleep or exercise, so it's been a real great month. And we're going to switch it out for the Vare here. Now, as you know, I hate watches, and I think people into them are stupid. So with that in mind, know that I am not used to watches on the wrist. I used to wear them when I was younger, and then I've kind of gotten back into them. So I'm always aware that they're sitting on my wrist. And if I had one tiny little nitpick, is that the case back on the Vare was a little less edgy. It's not really bad, but the Apple's pretty nice on the wrist. You know, I guess that would be my benchmark because that's my most comfortable watch. Maybe a little extra tumbling or chamfering somewhere. Although that's generally with the nylon strap. Whenever you put the rubber strap on, it's actually pretty good. It sits a little higher on the wrist, so it doesn't really do it to you. But the counterpoint to the Apple is it's really ugly. You have to charge it all the time, and you can't really change the battery whenever you need to. There'll be a charge for that, Apple. Now the Serge. I think this is probably my favorite watch. It is heavy on the wrist, so I always notice the weight of this watch. It's huge and unique, and the glow in the dark is real great. And yeah, we're going to just call it glow in the dark, okay? Then you have the knife nuts. Here's Xenomorph. It's big, it's heavy, it's purple, it's a diver. And I really like this one too. In fact, it's the only watch I've gotten a compliment on by a guy wearing a big gold Invicta. Then there's this, the Seiko 5 Auto. You know, this is the one I was talking about earlier. You can see it's a very similar size to the Vare. Vare's a little bit bigger. You know, it's a 38 millimeter case. It's not a massive watch, but it's not tiny. It's not as tiny as the first gen Seiko 5. I alternate calling them Seiko and Seiko. Okay, that about does it. Thanks to Vare for sending this watch for review. As you know, autos are probably not the world's best batoning watch, so, you know, they have more delicate internals. So Vare is absolutely my favorite batoning watch. You know, this is durable, it's waterproof, so it's an outdoors watch, but a classy outdoors watch. If it's resistant to my fluids and the rigors of batoning, it's pretty durable. Now say hi to the patrons here. They gave me the gift of 4K and macros, so I have re-gifted those things to you. You know, of course, if we're going to be honest, that's making you the loser in the deal. And make sure you buy a t-shirt if you need clothes or like supporting people who make YouTube videos. I don't think that's a crime. Baton that like button. Click the alert bell. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment. You know, thanks for watching.